Madam Secretary, read the roll, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairwoman Maderas.
Here.
Vice Chairman Pierce.
Here.
Member Bettenker.
Here.
Member Simone. Member Johnson.
Present.
Member Schultz.
Here.
Member West.
Present.
Executive Director Robert Raposa.
Present.
Legal Counsel Raymond Carchia. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And there being a quorum, we will begin the meeting. The board may discuss, this is item number 1, the board may discuss and vote to approve the minutes of the meeting held on Thursday, October 28th, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So
Moved by Mr. Scholes. Do we have a second?
second.
Seconded by Mr. West. Any discussion?
Madam Chairman, I will abstain. I was not at that meeting.
Very good. We have one abstention. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous with the one abstention. Item number 2, the board may hear and discuss the incorrect inclusion of the name of an unqualified candidate for the office of City of Warwick Council, Ward 5, on the ballot for the November 8th, 2022 election. I think board members all understand that there was human error, and certainly there were also, it looks like, miscommunication as well. What would the board like to do with reference to this matter?
I move that we have the Board of Canvassers from Warwick at next, or which meeting I want, next schedule or the one after certification?
Yeah, which would make sense.
Well, good morning, board members. I had conversations with the chair of the Warwick Board of Canvassers, Ed Murphy, and he had asked that they definitely will be at this meeting that you are going to ask them to be, but he asked that you do not have the meeting next week because he would be out of state. He would like to attend either the meeting that is going to be scheduled for November 23rd or November 28th.
Okay.
And Madam
Yes.
Chair, just a question. I mean, at this meeting, would the idea be to understand, well, because I know we got a letter, there was a thorough sort of explanation of what happened and how it happened. Would this be, to speak to them about the measures that they're going to put in place moving forward, checks and balances to assume it doesn't happen again? I'm not saying they shouldn't be at a meeting. I'm just, wondering what the objective and the goal would be coming out of that.
I think that's a very good question. And I was thinking that, if we're going to hear from them with reference to what you said, the steps that they're taking to make sure this doesn't reoccur, certainly then it's worthwhile to have them come. But I think we understand what happened at this point. So
I think, from my estimation, I'd like to know, since there were some checks, why they weren't adhered to, what happened in that step that was missed. So I'd like to hear from them about that. And then maybe later on, after all this is over, the elections and everything, and we start with next year, we could then make corrections or recommendations from the board as to what to do
in
going
the future,
forward.
understood.
Yeah, I agree.
So Mr. West, did you make a motion? I can't recall
Can
now.
make that motion.
Okay.
That effect, that we would like to have them come at, I guess, 28th.
Meeting of the
November 28th. Just for an explanation to the board, if the board has questions, at that time, the board can ask them questions and take things under advisement, and going forward, make recommendations as to how to proceed.
Okay. So we have a motion by Mr. West. Do we have a second to his motion?
Excuse me, if I could
Sure.
interject, maybe the motion should be the 23rd or the 28th, because we may not have a meeting on both those days. It's going to depend on what happens after
For the
today.
election.
All right.
Understood. That's probably a good way to couch it.
Yes.
Very good. So that motion is either the 23rd or the 28th, depending on what today brings about.
That's
And do we
correct.
have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it's unanimous vote of the board. Item number 3, the board may hear and consider any election matter that arises from the general election that requires an immediate ruling or determination pursuant to Title 17 of the Rhode Island General Laws. Mr. Reposa, anything to report at this point?
I'm happy to report there is nothing to go before you that needs your immediate attention. It is a election day, as we all know, in the state of Rhode Island. We always have some frantic phone calls where someone says they can't find the ballots in the supply boxes, or that they can't get the voting machine to start up. That has been what we have encountered so far today. There was one instance in Bristol at the Quinton Gamelin polling place, where there was a large deer that was blocking the entrance and
Well, that's
was hindering the voters from going into the polling place. Subsequently, the police have been called to address that situation.
Please tell me someone got a picture
That I
of
don't know.
that.
That I don't know.
That's hysterical.
That's a class.
I had to share it.
Thank you for that. But at this point,
That's
it's
all.
just,
I have nothing else to report.
okay, so at this point, I think a motion to recess the board would be in order. Mr.
I
Schultz, do you have a motion?
Madam Chair. I move that the board recess to 7 PM. However, subject to the call of the chair for any immediate matters that may be brought to the board's attention prior to 7 PM.
Sounds right. Do we have a second to Mr. Schultz's motion?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it's unanimous. So the board is in recess at 9:08 a.m. until 7 p.m. or until it's necessary to reconvene. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.